When you come to doing an assessment, there are various question types. This is also a cause for some confusion from time to time and doesn't need to be. The most marked one is the discussion one, which will be the subject of a separate conversation in a moment. The various question types include diarising, comparing, contrasting, reflecting, case studies, presentations, and, as I say, discussions. Discussions and evaluations will constitute another of these aid memoir in a moment, but just to be clear about the others. The word criticality will be mentioned to you by everybody all the time. If it has been a while since you've been involved in study, criticality may not be something with which you're familiar. It doesn't matter what sort of report that you're doing, it is important that you are aware of the need to be critical. So even if it's a diary of your own experiences, it's worthwhile being aware of the fact that you should note the limits of what you could possibly have determined from your diarisation. The people who are there, the season of the year, any circumstances that reflect why people may not be fully straightforward about what they're saying. It's evidence of the fact that you are critically aware, and at any level it's important to be aware of that. So it's evidence for your further thinking, and evidence is what it's all about. Some assignments require you to compare and contrast things. Not many, but some assignments specify that comparing and contrasting things is what is required. That is not straightforwardly the case that you say what one person said and then compare it with what another person said. It requires you to be critically aware of why the things were said in what circumstances. So compare and contrast between two sorts of things. For example, between the King James Bible and the New International Version would require you to point out the fact that they were translated under different circumstances, and in fact that both were translated. That's critical awareness. Neither of them arrived straight from a source that hasn't been affected by something else. It's just that straightforward. Be willing to say what it is that has affected what you can see. Reflection, explanation and consideration are also very much part of things that you will be required to do, but that doesn't mean that they are without criticality in themselves. You're reflecting, and you yourself are a person that affects what you're seeing. You can't avoid being the source of contamination in the way that the world speaks to your author. Your own opinions will change it. Be aware of that and note it. Case studies and translations are perhaps the least affected by criticality, but even so, you will be translating things without being completely and utterly aware of every stage of the translation, and knowing your own limitations is a good idea. So, before you come to the presentation part of it, and several times during the course you will be encouraged to present things, be aware of that everything that you do is subject to something called criticality, which is that you have to be able to say what it is that affects what it is that you're seeing. So when you come to doing a presentation, it's different from a sermon. You're not trying to tell somebody what is the case, you're trying to encourage people to think about what it is that you're presenting. That requires you to be critical. Presentations are the most obvious case where this is important. Being critical about yourself is very difficult to do, but in terms of psychology, but it's very important to do in terms of interesting your audience. So, essential question types, we've just done. Diarisation, compare and contrast, reflection and so on and so forth. The bit about this that some people may miss is that you need to be critically aware of what it is that you're presenting.